Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is July 3rd, and right now we're looking at the visible/infrared satellite imagery. And if you look closely, you can kind of see the wispy smoke kind of moving down from Canada there, emerging as the sunlight comes across the continent and towards the Pacific Ocean here. So we may be seeing some smoke in the higher elevations, might enhance the sunset out there and just block out the sun a tiny bit across the area. Not too big of a deal, shouldn't be down to the surface areas too much here, but fire season continues across British Columbia here. Hopefully not a sign of things to come in the summer. We'll also take a look at the extended forecast here coming up. We'll watch this thermal trough coming up the coastline. We'll watch the ebb and the flow of the offshore winds coming up here, and we'll look at that here in a moment. Here's Paradise Mount Rainier, a nice glorious day across the higher terrain. You can see the snowfield melting up there, but not much to worry about in the way of thunderstorms either. Look at Seabrook, Washington, some low clouds out there. Nice cool feeling. You know where to go to beat the heat there out along the ocean coastlines. This is 4th of July, fire safety there. Just have a heads up there. Know your community's firework guidelines. I know a lot of people just light off fireworks even though it is illegal and it's usually not a big deal. But if something were to happen and you're lighting off fireworks in an illegal area, you're going to get nailed for it. So just a heads up there. Follow the burn bans. Watch out. Be safe out there. Don't burn somebody's house down. You know how it goes. What causes wildfires to spread? Well, these are the typical here. Dry vegetation, strong winds, high temperatures. And as we get further on to the summer season, we're going to continue on with these conditions. And again, one more here, just watch out there, especially east of the Cascade. It is very hot, dry, and breezy out there. This is red flag warning for some of the east slopes of the Cascades, just off of Chelan there, Omak, Moses Lake, and just west of Ritzville there. I'll show you the low relative humidities here in a moment, how they ebb and flow through the afternoon and the morning hours. Here we go, Seattle, another 80-degree day, starting it off above average here across the month of July. And we're going to remain above average here for the next few days, potentially warming up quite nicely. No precipitation in sight right now. And again, like I mentioned yesterday, we've never hit 1 inch in a 24-hour period here for SeaTac there. Pretty interesting there. And I look forward to breaking that record someday. This is looking at the fire assessment and outlook, and you can kind of see this across a lot of Canada here, and including some of the Pacific Northwest. If we zoom in here, you can see July 2023, Pacific Northwest definitely highlighted there. And you can see across the Sierra Nevada as well, kind of below normal there, that excessive snowfall they got. So some snowpack across the mountains down there, helping out with any early season fire concerns. Here we go on into August, and now September. And then even October, some of Western Washington, Oregon still included in that risk. So heads up there, fire season is upon us. 2-meter dew point depression. So if you take a look at this is basically showing you the dry air. And look at some of these depressions here as we go across. I think this is Ephrata there. I mean, you're talking about big differences in the temperature and the dew point, which obviously means very relative low humidity across the area. And you can see that move across the region as you go into the afternoon hours and then come back again kind of on a daily thing. So watch out. Even across the Cascades, it's not going to be too hard to start fires, which is usually what happens here in the summer. Now, you can see across the coastline there, you got that stratus layer there, and obviously the dew point depression in that is going to be very low. You've got the already condensed clouds there, and you can contrast that with what's going on across eastern Washington and eastern Oregon. They're pretty interesting. This is looking at 500 millibars, 18,000 feet, and you can see this ridge starting to build up here all the way through southeast Alaska towards the Northwest Territories in the Yukon, above the North Slope up there even. And you can kind of see this ridge. It's bubbling around here. It's off the shore, but these heights are kind of building up here across some of southeast Alaska, but we are still going to be kind of in this relative trough in here. So we're not going to warm up too much. It's not a giant record heat dome coming, but it doesn't take much to kick temperatures above average for this time of year. And when you do, you're already pretty warm here, so it's going to be easy to go up into the 80s for many areas and even 90s for some locations. We'll check those temperatures out here in a moment. This is looking at median sea level pressure here, the thermal trough. Usually they're best seen in the early morning hours, and you can see the high pressure settling down across the Rockies there, and in turn you get that offshore flow, and just as kind of a result you get this thermal trough. Now as we move on into July 5th, you can continue to see it move up through western Oregon, Washington, up towards Vancouver Island there, and so we'll get that offshore flow at least for a time in the morning, and it warm ups up west of the Cascades, and the thermal trough is a signature for all the heat waves west of the Cascades. The same thing went for 2021 there back 2 years ago in our record heat wave as well. Now this is looking at 925 millibar temperatures here, and as we go through July 3rd here, this is the afternoon today, and tomorrow you can see all this warm air above the surface here all the way out over the Pacific Ocean, across Vancouver Island, up into BC here, and you can look down towards the desert southwest. A lot of this is higher terrain, so it's measuring some of this really close to the surface, but you can clearly see as we get to the summertime here, things are definitely warming up across the area. And here we go into July 5th afternoon as well. You can see that warm air moving all the way up towards Haida Gwaii there, past Vancouver Island, is still well positioned across much of the Pacific Northwest. This was looking at 925 millibar height and wind speeds. So this is the NAM 3KM. This is last night's run. So watch as we go through the day today. You can kind of see that offshore wind. Look at the Fraser River Valley here as we go through the later morning hours, picking up Okanagan River Valley here, pushing some northerly winds down into eastern Washington as well. You can see that usual flow out of the north down the Puget Sound, but watch as we go into the 4th of July morning again. Nice offshore winds across the area. Look at this easterly component coming through the Cascades and the gorge there, down through Oregon, offshore all the way towards off the coastline there, and again some of this offshore flow coming across eastern Washington as well. And you notice that gradient kind of relaxes as you get towards the afternoon hours, because we do heat things up quite nicely, weakens that gradient here from the thermal trough as you go through the afternoon hours. But then again on the 5th you see it redevelop there with that offshore flow, so that's what's going to keep us warm, especially west of the Cascades. Seattle Tacoma all the way through the 6th there, pretty darn warm, and still some pretty warm afternoons going on through the extended forecast as well. Lower confidence with that. We'll continue to watch this as we go towards next weekend, but you can see tomorrow, the 4th of July and the 5th, very warm days here coming for west of the Cascades. This is SeaTac. GFS calling for potential of 90-degree days here. We'll look at the national blended models here in a moment, but you can clearly see the warm 3 days we have coming up starting tomorrow, the 5th and the 6th, and today won't be too bad either. This is looking at national blended models for today. It's showing about 80, and some of this can be kind of conservative temperature forecast here, up towards 90 for the Willamette Valley, into the 90s in eastern Washington. Look at the 4th of July, probably getting some 90s in towards southwest Washington, down towards Olympia as well. Now here we go on through Wednesday. Look at some of these temperatures for the Willamette Valley, upper 90s showing up there, up towards 90 again maybe for some of the Seattle Metro as well. Very warm across the entire Pacific Northwest, and you can see the valley areas of BC warming up quite nicely also. This is Portland International Airport. Check it out. We're going to go through a little bit of a cooling trend here. It looks like through the end of next week into the weekend, but no promises of that just yet. We'll see how this trough and that ridge, that dance over the Gulf of Alaska, how that evolves over the next few days. This is Portland. Look at this, some 90-degree temperatures, not out of the question for sure. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook here. Pacific Northwest, nothing changed all the way through July 12th there. And this would be the precipitation here. And you can kind of see it including western Washington a little bit there. And I don't know what that's about. We'll have to watch that and see. I'm not seeing a strong signal for precipitation right now. But anyway, yeah, you'll probably see some of that smoke out there if you're really paying attention, looking at the upper levels of the atmosphere. I may go out there and chase some dust devils today. I'm not sure. That smoke's probably going to hamper them a little bit out there, and there's some clouds floating around. This should dissipate. But if I do, I may even do a live stream today. We'll see how that goes. But since the smoke's moving down, I may not go chase at all either and find something else to do today. Anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.